For sure.
You can get all that spell too.
Well, listen, Simon, I've been trying to figure this new thing out, right?
Yep.
And it's just more than me.
Yeah.
It is more than me.
Newness can be like that.
Yeah, you know. But isn't that what happened when we have to go to school and learn something new too?
Yeah.
It takes a while
Takes some
sometimes to figure it out.
Even in a relationship, the man say, it takes time to know her.
Well, I don't know if our generation nowadays is really taking time to know. You know?
They are not taking time, but I mean, time is taking them. It still takes some time.
Right. Just let me know if you are hearing us, if you're watching us. Let me know.
Let me know if you're here.
It's reading. I see it reading now.
Yep.
In the system.
And it wasn't doing that before.
That wasn't there.
So I feel say.
Yes, that wasn't there. And now it is reading. See with us, y'all. We're testing out a new system because, of course, Dr. KJ will be coming back bigger, better, and stronger.
Much improved.
All right, so we're just testing the system out. We're testing the system out tonight. But just in case our friends can hear us, Sima, we were watching a part of chapter 5 of Embrace the Promise. What's your take on the production, on the way the show was conducted in Jamaica?
You sure you want my feedback?
Yeah, man, tell me, man.
The biggest thing right now in the gospel. And that's I ask if you're sure because I know your humility. And you know my brothers. I haven't seen outside of let's maybe say Fun in the Sun.
Yeah.
I've never seen a production like that in Jamaica.
You know what? You and I have been in the studio all evening trying to figure out, and we've had many conversations behind the scene, a whole lot of conversations, and one of the conversations you were talking about, they even the way the stage looked.
Yeah.
On the out front, you're watching it and the quality that was produced. And I mean, I've never really looked at the show since we left Jamaica.
Yes.
In for so long, like I did this evening.
Right.
And I was rather impressed.
Well, maybe it's a good thing you asked me then, because I watched it about 15 times. Because I was in Jamaica, I was with you for all the time leading right up to the concert.
Yeah, you were there with me when I was planning.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole planning stage, you were there.
I just had to leave, a day or so before the concert.
Yes.
That was my salary. I had to watch it. But on a serious note, Dr. KJ, it was outstanding. Out of the world. The production was good. The performances were great.
Listen, I want to talk to you about that because the first performance we had was the saxophonist, Fred Robertson.
Yeah.
And I just have a thing for saxophone. I just love the sound that it gives. It puts me in a different kind of mood. Mm-hmm. And that guy blew that thing not because he can blow it, but he blew it under the anointing.
Well, he has a calling.
Yeah,
it's just obvious. I mean, the Joan sang, you sang too.
Yes.
And we had
Jermaine Edwards.
Yeah, and some person.
Kerry Sales.
And some persons DJ. But he used an instrument to sing some songs. And what I liked about him, especially, is the personality that he brings to it.
Yeah.
So even though he was worshiping, he has a signature.
Yes.
He was not just playing an instrument.
Yes.
I really, really admired that. And not only me too, many persons who saw his performance.
No, he was great. Fred Robertson was great. And the people loved him.
And it's good to see a saxophonist being highlighted on a gospel show.
Yes.
Because I think that the Lord has anointed the instrumentalists and the players of the instruments, and sometimes they just go secular.
Right.
Maybe just to eat a bread.
And that's a big issue in the gospel arena.
Yeah.
We grew up in church and we learned to perfect our art in church, and then I hate to say it, but it's true. But because of money, there's a common saying that the church doesn't pay for music.
Yeah.
And rightly so, because sometimes the church can't afford it, and of course we hear the old saying all the time, well, give your talents to God, and and all of that, and we understand that musicians have to eat, smell good, look good when they go out, and all of that, we understand, and as a result of the money, they sometimes divert to playing secular music because the secular world give them more for their talent. But what are your views on that?
The truth is, if you should really do a count, right?
Yeah.
Maybe almost all of the great accompaniment in gospel music are done by secular people.
The great accompaniment.
Yes.
So would you agree then? Well, can we agree that even though it might be done by secular music, the creation of it started with these same people in church?
Undoubtedly. But I'm actually agreeing with your point in a different way.
Yeah.
It is to say that we hardly have full-time practicing musician in the church. In churches. They have almost all graduated or gone into, I don't even know if it's a graduation, but gone into secular or secularism.
In the secular world.
Because that's where they earn. I don't agree though, Dr. KJ, that the church can't afford it. I think if anybody can afford it, it would be the church.
Yeah, you don't agree.
It's just to find creative ways of remunerating people. The church has.
How do you think they could remunerate them if? Because there's a lot of struggling churches. There's no doubt about it. And music is very important in the church.
Undoubtedly, yes.
Yeah, music is very, very important in the church. But what other ways do you think churches could compensate musicians for their talents?
I think, like schools, the church has a captive audience. Every church have members, and if you should really look at how you worship and how you serve your members, it is quite easy for the churches to come together, not as individual churches necessarily, but to come together to put on some real decent production.
Yes.
That people pay to attend.
Such like Embrace the Promise.
Embrace the Promise.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to be promising everybody the chapter 4. We're going to be showing chapter 4 one of these days in the near future. Could be next week. We're working on chapter 4. That was and that was Westmoreland leg.
That one is so nice, like the chicken and rice. So we just there. Need a little more time for that. But Dr. KJ, the church is not going to make a first step and get to the place of Embrace the Promise.
Yes.
But my brother, look, I think that if we put our heads together, there is absolutely nothing that can prevent the church from moving forward.
Yes.
Especially with music.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I think that we should come together and create a calendar of gospel music. We don't have that.
Yeah.
A man plan a show, and if the parish council approves it, it happens. Or if he feels like it, he gets up to them, it happens. But there is not a calendar, and I think that if you do that, you can impact it in a big way. I think also that the church, has not embraced technology enough. There are so many things that the church can monetize on Instagram.
Well, in that regards, in that regard. But I think the church has gotten out of the mindset where technology should not be used, especially since the pandemic. And everybody had to be going on Zoom and depending on technology. I know I heard of ministers with my own ears, not hearing someone say, but hearing it with my own ear, ministers preaching out against technology before the pandemic. But today, their church is using the technology. You know, so I think they have been embracing it now.
The challenge I have though is they're using the technology not in an innovative way. It is a technology that they could not afford to ignore. So, for example, you could.
So in other words, they were forced to embrace
it. So it's the same conventionalism that is taking place. What I would like to see is the churches coming together to create a YouTube page where your choir or your vocalist or your instrumentalist, they all converge on that YouTube page. Because the world is our audience. We have 8.6 billion people. And that space, you can monetize Facebook.
Do you think with the competition that is being exercised in our churches today, because it's a sad reality though, you know, but it is true. And if we are going to be honest, we have to face the facts. But when I look at churches today and, you know, other ministries, even on social media, or you know, when I'm invited to preach or sing or whatever, because I've gone to numerous churches to preach and to sing a whole lot,
all over
the world,
on different continents.
Yes, on different continents, all over the world. And I've been, and it's not just now.
Yes.
It's been a long time because I've been a pastor for a number of years. And what I see happening nowadays, you know, Sima, is a level of competition.
Yes.
If my church can be better than your church, and if my church can make more money than your church, and if my building can be prettier than your building, this is what is going on, and not enough attention and focus is given on
organization
and growing the members as well. Yeah. And when we grow to where we are supposed to be, then organization will begin to take place. Then I can now collaborate with your ministry and not be threatened.
Yes.
Because the issue is, I don't want to get into your ministry lest you thief my members. You see where I'm going? And that is what is happening today. I want to say good evening to Andrea Noble, to my singer friend Derek McFarlane, Sister Carmen Witter, Simone, how are you? Wherever you're listening from, welcome. I couldn't see the comment, but I'm seeing some of them here now. Yes, I'm seeing a few of the comments.
Listen to it, Pastor.
Oh, you thought we were just talking there? Yeah, we're live. We're actually live, you know. Yes, we are.
Look, Pastor, the people in out in the world, you know, they have all kind of I call it gossip shops.
Oh yeah.
Right? They have all kind of vlogs and blogs and bloggers and mix up and blender. So why is it that the church can come together to have some holistic, family oriented event in the virtual space? Me not talk about a man just project him thing on Zoom and preach because it's church time and him couldn't go to church, so him do that. I'm talking about monetizing the thing, because every time we talk about paying people, the easy talk comes up that you don't have the money to pay them. But I'm saying to you that there are people on Facebook, Zoom, there are people on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, who are rich Jamaicans too.
Yeah.
So we don't have to run too far to find examples.
Who are rich.
They are rich, and they are doing this. They are monetizing these things. The talent that is in the church cannot be found anywhere else. The little girl who sings on the junior choir, the youth choir. And remember too, that almost every single artist who has a name started in the church. So the talent pool is so wide and varied. Almost every single instrumentalist, every single keyboardist, every single saxophonist started in the church and played very well. But we do not harness these things and put it together in an organized way, so that the church people can begin to see how they can earn from it. And that is why they end up going to the hotel to go and play. And you know what comes
but let me ask you though, Mr. Simpson, if this was to be done, don't you see another conflict there when it's time for the money to be shared? Because one thing I can tell you about money make people and it breaks them.
That is true.
Very easily.
But there's one thing we can say about technology. If it is no good in anything else, it offers a transparency that nothing else provides.
But who would this money? So you're saying that when they monetize, so my choir come together with your choir, with Sister John's choir, Brother Luke's choir, and everybody's choir, and we make it and put it on this virtual space, and it generates money. You're saying that whatever is generated now will be split between my choir, your choir, Luke's choir, Mary's choir, and you name it?
Well, that is one way to look at it. What I'm also saying too is that because there may be conflict is not a reason not to do it. But I'd say we operate as churches too on this basis of informality. So we don't like to sign contract. We don't like to put up terms of reference in place. And that, I think, is where we ought to start. So if we are seeking to monetize certain things, if we're seeking to organize our visual reality and our virtual reality so that we can earn from it, then you put a document together. The church has all of the talent to do this, you know. So you put a document together, you outline what the terms of reference will be, and you follow that through. So there's a percentage, if let's say, for example, 5 churches come together, right? And you put a document together to say that the thing will be split in 5 equal parts. That is one way to do it, right? I don't want to oversimplify it because there may be other technicalities, right? Some churches may have greater talent pool than others and so forth. So you can apportion it. But what I think we need to do is to stop the wastage that is taking place, because our talents, the church is spending a lot of money to harness these talents in the early stages. It is not free and it is not easy to train a little boy to play keyboard or to have the choir coming together as an orchestra and bellowing melodic voices and sounds out in the atmosphere. And that is where the early training is taking place. And all you do now is train them and send them off to the hotel industry, train them and send them off to secularism, train them and send them off to this and send them off to that.
But to be fair to them though, can you really blame them for doing that? Especially, let's say your daughter, for example, you pay to have her learn how to play these instruments, right? It costs you a lot of money because you have to pay the teacher. And after she would have mastered the art of music and playing and all of that, then the church says, okay, give us your talent. All right. And while the church is saying, give us your talent, the world is saying, I'll give you $1 million for your talent. Right? How do we balance? How do we bridge that?
I don't have the answer to everything, but I would say this because I've considered it. What we have to first do is to provide opportunities. Sometimes we can't take it for granted that a man is going to run because a carrot is waved. When I look at the situation that really happened in Jamaica track and field, where you and I know from young boys from the 80s, almost every single one of our outstanding athletes traveled abroad to go and live and train there. After Asafa Powell broke that trend in early year 2000, 2001, you saw the influx of Jamaican athletes training in Jamaica. And it is at that time, not when they were going to the major universities abroad where they had everything, people serving them from their from their step in as a freshman. It is when we started to harness our talent in the Jamaican space when they were running on gravel, running barefooted, we begin to beat the world. We were never short on talent. From Herb McKinley and George Roden and Arthur Wint.
Yeah.
We were huge in 1948, 1952. We had Ben Johnson, we had
a lot of them.
We had
a lot
athletes,
of them. Yeah,
right?
we did,
but
we did.
when we became world beaters,
Marlon Otti, all of them.
when we became unprecedented leaders of the world in track and field, is when we started to do it here. When Melanie Walker and Usain Bolt and Asafa Powell and Veronica Campbell and all of these people started to break records and win Olympic medals after medals, and we started to earn the most medals and the most gold medals.
We got recognition then.
We became the sprint capital of the entire world.
And that's why we got so much recognition, because I'm sorry,
Thank you. but the point I am making, why I use that analogy, is to say the same thing can happen in gospel music. Gospel music can begin to reclaim its rightful place and space if we start investing more and believing in what we're doing. Because the girl, as I said, the girl who goes off to go and sing cabaret and the hotel industry could very well opt to stay if she sees a transition from junior choir to senior choir to making an album.
But then, do you think the church? Because you have, for example, there are some churches with a massive choir. If you were to pay all those people, do you think the church could survive in paying its bills and light, and talk about basic necessities, lights, water, internet, you name it?
I think it would do very well in doing so, because
if they were paying everybody on the choir.
Because what I'm proposing is not to use existing funds to pay these people.
So you're talking about the funds they would make from social media and all those stuff.
But undoubtedly they will make funds, KJ.
But okay, now there are some churches now, if you go on YouTube, their thing is on YouTube. Their services are on YouTube. They're on Facebook. Some of these YouTube pages are monetized. Yeah. But do you think they're making enough money to do all of this?
No, they're not making enough money from the recycled gospel that they preach, and everybody done hear them sermon the 15 times already. They're not making money from that. But they will make money from the music, because when the music hits you, in secularism you feel no pain, but when the Holy Spirit ministers through you in music, and that takes off. Remember, we're not talking about flesh and blood, We're talking about a ministry that is going to revolutionize what church looks like. And so we're not talking about the Jamaican space or the Caribbean space alone. We're talking about potentially 6.8 billion people. That's what we're talking about. And if you look at how Jamaican music has captivated the world, there is no doubt that gospel music with Christ in it will have an even greater impact. But we just don't play everything gospel must be free. Everything church must be free.
Right. I don't believe in that, really, because I always tell people, when a gospel artist or a preacher, a minister, is invited to come to your church or come to wherever you congregate to minister the word in song or however, dance, you name it, you want them to look good.
Of course.
You want them to smell good.
Of course.
You want them to have an appearance.
Of course.
Now, that in itself takes money.
Yes.
All right? And we know people say, oh, you're doing it for the Lord and the Lord will provide. Yes, He will. But what are we doing to cause it to be that the Lord is providing for these people through us? Have we ever really looked at it that way? But I agree with you. But we got to bridge a gap, though. There got to be somewhere where, we can meet in the middle.
Yeah, but I think before we meet in the middle, we need to get up off our laurels and make it happen. Sting happens on Boxing Day, right? And that's like in dancehall or reggae, that's like the most crude type of event that you would find in that space, right? Tell me what we have in gospel.
We have Embrace the Promise now.
Thank God. We
you know, and you know, Embrace the Promise is looking, you know, at bringing not only the gospel ministers who are out there a long time, but also those who are just coming on the scene.
You need help.
And yeah, I do.
Man, them never stop the jealousy in the church.
Yeah.
And the hypocrisy. And the true word gospel.
I don't know if we'll ever get away from that, because whenever have you ever listened to some people on social media, and it is sad and funny at the same time that they will draw for scriptures to justify their own anger and to justify their own bitterness. And so when they come and they start to speak, they come as if they are preaching or they are speaking thus said the Lord, when they are just speaking from anger and bitterness and a place of hurt. And then that is now what the audience is hearing. Because you see, we have an audience now that are highly intelligent when it comes on to listening. And you can't fool them. They know when the Spirit of the Lord is speaking. And they know when you are coming from a place of self. So I get out there and I profess self, but I do it in the name of Jesus. And so some people will, I don't know if you ever hear those kind of preaching, and then people will curse you. And then they said, the word of the Lord says, that's not preaching. Let's clear that matter. That is not of God. If you should examine how Jesus operated in the Bible, and even the men of old, of course we know Paul, for example, there were times when he got upset, but what did he get upset for? You have to look at that in context, right? Exactly, he defended the gospel, not for himself.
Because you can't impact me with your true word gospel.
No.
It's that you've gone through words, you're not going to.
But many times when they begin to throw words, it's like, it's laughable. It's really laughable. And I tell people, and even sometimes people will say amen, but deep inside they are laughing. They are laughing. We're not to do that. I don't think God is pleased when we come, you know, in His name and we glorify ourselves.
And it's the same thing I'm saying with the events that are out there as well. You know, some of them are laughable. Some of them are toward because you see, when you do something for the Lord, you must put the same amount of effort in it, like when you're doing it for yourself, or when you're doing it for a lady that you're pursuing or a man that you like. You know? So I'd like to see some of those events.
And I believe, and I agree with you, because I believe these are some of the very same reasons why we, and I'm saying we because I'm a part of the church, why we as the body of Christ is no longer as effective as we should be. Because we have put aside the real presence of God, and we have elevated our presence, and our presence is not enough to captivate the audience and those who really need to come to God. And so they will look on and say, if that is what you're offering, then I don't want it. And then we preach hellfire on them, and not realizing that we are the same one being the blockage for them coming to accept Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. I've heard so many testimonies of people getting saved, and they did not get saved as a result of hearing somebody preach.
True. conviction and
there was something else.
Sometimes the word that is on your mind.
Sometimes even in the dance hall.
True.
People go to the dance hall and get convicted.
True.
I heard a testimony of a very popular radio personality, and she said, she and her sister went to a dance, and it was in the dance that the Spirit of the Lord spoke to them in the dance that you don't belong here.
So sometimes it's not just about what you should do, sometimes it's about what I don't want. So you may go into the dance and you just decide that this is not what I want.
This is not what I want, because you're trying it. And you said, no, this is not what I want.
Yeah.
You know?
Which brings me to another point, Dr. KJ, because I think as a society, generally speaking, we're ungrateful, you know, and within the gospel space, we're even more ungrateful because Jamaica has produced some excellent, world-class
we have produced the best. Just put it simple, Jamaica has produced the best.
And there is a program that used to come on TV, so we have many of them. Look, we have produced so many excellent persons within this space.
Yeah.
But we don't embrace them.
No.
We don't lift them up as other societies do their people. And so, I'm going to run down the list. One of the people like Joan Fleming and Judith Gale and Dorian Williams. You remember that lady?
Which one?
Dorian Williams.
Dorian Williams?
Yeah, what was it? Some of her songs will come back to me at some point. But gospel people, a man like Lester Lewis, who has been, his songs have been sung over by some of the world's greatest gospel musicians
Ron
ever.
Kenoly. Ron Kenoly sung over one of his songs.
People like Lester Lewis. Well, I don't know what Prodigal Son is doing now, but I know one time he was one of the main artists, not just in gospel, but in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
We look at people like...
But not just in Jamaica, but across the world.
He was that good.
Across the world.
Right? People like Glacier Robinson. Glenn Graham. These are people who their songs and their sound will be recognized in Africa, Asia, Europe, America, and we hardly, when the Prime Minister is giving out awards and Heroes Day, we hardly have a gospel artist in there.
But don't you think that this is like strategically orchestrated by the forces of darkness not to include the gospel in these things, because it's probably a way not to get the gospel or get people to be interested in the gospel? What do you think?
Not in my view.
Not in your view.
I think we are our greatest obstacle.
So you think that we are the reason why we are not being recognized?
Of course. Look at the way we go about producing gospel music.
Okay.
It's like a backdoor business we deal with.
Okay.
I mean, which gospel artist in Jamaica has ever really been backed and pushed? And we talk about, okay, we want these big entities abroad to come and back them. If the churches come together and back one artist, I mean, that's the most powerful backing you could get. But we don't do that.
We have powerful real gospel ministers from Jamaica. We do.
Of course.
Yeah, I know a lot of them. Yes. I know a lot of them, and I admire their ministry, admire their music, admire some of them lives. We do have them, but for me, I believe it is orchestrated by the forces there is as a means to keep the gospel down. So if we don't recognize these people, then the gospel will not get an opportunity to go anywhere. But we will recognize, because and truth be told, there are some artists that are now being recognized. You and I have never heard of them before. We didn't even know they existed. But they are out there. Look at the Grammy, for example, the recent Grammy. The group that won from Jamaica, I've never heard of them before. I know others would have. I'm sure you probably never heard of them. I don't remember their names. And I'm like, you had other artists there that we know, but they didn't win. And so what I'm saying is that they would prefer, the forces that there be, would prefer to highlight somebody who is coming all the way from the back because it's not gospel, rather than highlighting somebody who's been at the front technically with gospel, they would push that person to the back and put the one at the back who has no substance, nothing at all, and say, let's put this one forward. All in a means of trying to hold the gospel down.
If I was convinced that that group of persons backing the one that is not the gospel artist, that group did not include some front bench church members backing that contrary aspect, I would accept the argument wholesale.
A lot of these people are not really church people, based on what I know. A lot of the people who are tasked with the responsibility of making the decisions, they're not church people.
Yeah, true.
One. And some of them might have been hurt by church people. And so they have this hatred in their heart for anything to do with church. Right? You find these people who are the people they're putting up front to do the selection, to make the decision. And so when they hear of gospel, it's like it brings back too much bad memories for them, and so they...
I still feel, Dr. KG, greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. And I also still feel that there is anti-church sentiment, but there is tremendous sentiment towards the church. I mean, everywhere you go, even in the dancehall space, we say the men walk with their Bible in their pocket, and a lot of the dancehall artists have a gospel segment that the audience would...
They used to walk with their Bible in their pockets back then. They're walking with guns now. They're not walking with their Bible in their pockets anymore. They're walking with their guns now.
Yeah.
You know, so you see, what am I saying? A lot has changed.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Over the years. A lot. And I agree with you when you mentioned that, you know, some of us, as gospel artists and singers, we don't spend the time to really hear from God and to bring forth anointed stuff. You know, it's like it's a competition. Okay, so because that minister drop a song, I must drop one too. And it doesn't matter how it sounds, me, I gotta drop one too. That's a wrong approach. Go back to what you were saying. What about embracing that minister and getting that minister to a level? And in doing so, we're equipping ourselves as well to go. And then when it's my time, you come on board with me and we bring each other up. What about doing that?
That's true.
But because it's a competition thing. You drop a song, me, I go drop one for you, know better than me. And then it's like it's a war. And then I begin to speak about you in some ways that is not Christ-like. And I motivate, because sometimes your words are so powerful because you don't even know the influence you have on people. And the way I speak about you, people begin to see you in that light. And then, you know, people begin to sometimes not liking you. You've never done them anything, but they just don't like you because of how they would have heard what they heard others saying about you. I think we got to pay attention to these things. And understand that these are some of the very things that are standing in the way of the gospel going forward. And then when we are not able to win these people, we wonder what happened. But what was really happening is that these same people that we are trying to win are the very same people that I am going to badmouthing you. And now it's time for me to try to win them. How do you think you're going to win these people? When in the back of their minds, they are going to be saying, but if you can deal with the person who both of you are in the same class, that kind of way, what are you going to do to me?
Yeah.
And psychologically, these things play on people's mind, and so they rather to stay where they are than to come. And then we stay behind the scene and beat up ourselves and say how people not coming and people not doing this. But we have to stop long enough to pay attention to these little things that are being a hindrance to people coming to meet Jesus.
Perfectly said.
Yeah.
I don't have no disagreement with that. I would also love to see Dr. KJ, a production house of very high quality that is promoting gospel music mainly and essentially. And I would also love to see a kind of, I don't know if it's a reward or an incentive system, but something that elevates and uplifts and embrace the performers, the ministers of the gospel of Christ through music. I think it would make my night and my day and my week and my year if I were ever to come to see that happening. Because I think that in some subtle ways, those things will begin to create the change that we are so wanting to see. So every time I think about a Joan Fleming, for example, and a Glenn Graham and a George Banton,
George Banton,
and the Love Singers and some Wisdom, these are people who our high school children don't know anything about.
Our nowadays high school, because I remember when I was going to high school, I used to run home from school to watch the black and white TV.
Yes.
Hey, how far away I come from?
A long way from
And I would just get home, turn the black and white TV on, little screen, just a little thing, and you would sit in front of that little black and white TV because my parents couldn't afford a bigger one.
Yeah.
And I would watch Tom and Jerry, watch Thundercats, and then who would come on next? Sam Wisdom. Teaching music, and these are the people we grew up with. We know these people.
Yeah.
You wake up every Sunday morning. When you wake up, you're waking up with a Glenn Graham. You tell Jesus to set for me. And these are the songs that you would. But by the way, Glenn bless me, because how long I tell Jesus to set for him, and I know he's still there. I'm gonna tell Jesus love him. Jesus love him, and no send for him here. We used to hear the Joan Flemings, the Sister Scully,
Christian people.
From our denomination, the prodigal sons, you name it. We grew up hearing these music as kids, but today, our generation, not our generation, but the generation now, don't have a clue. The George Banton,
who's that?
They don't know. They don't know. Right? They don't know. And of course we have to give honor where honor is due, because these are some of the people who have paved the way for younger artists like myself and Derek McFarlane and Andre Revelation, and these people are the people who paved the way for us so that we can have a voice and be heard on even the international stage. So we have to pay big up to these artists who have paved the way for us. But at the same time, the artists now, we have somehow lost what it really means to be a minister of the gospel. Our focus
I give thanks to the Fiona
is wrong.
Watch your music video the other day, and I nearly cry because it's a long time I've seen and heard a song so impactful and so soulful and it's actually.
You're referring to Embrace the Promise?
Yeah.
But the last one I did.
Yeah, that the hit song. You're going identify that as a hit song.
Okay.
I mean, it's not because that's the song that means it's not a hit song. And it's not just a hit song, but it's a big song.
That song, I was in Africa and I sat in the audience and they started, the singers there started to sing the song. And I didn't realize it was my song. They rearranged. As a matter of fact, I will be in Africa in April. I'm going for a huge event, Youth Swaga. I'm not only an artist, but I'll be preaching. I'm the guest speaker for the event and also a guest singer. And you don't want to hear these guys.
It's big, man.
When I hear the arrangement,
it's rough.
Of the songs, I want to do them over.
massive.
You know, I'm like, I am blown away.
I still not think you really know the impact because of you come from. May I tell
I
you,
don't
it's
know.
a son.
I mean,
Your leg, your voice span, I want the different still. And then the quality. We need to highlight some people, Dr. KJ.
yeah.
Who did those visuals?
Well, the recording, the videoing was done by Joel and his team.
Joel Edwards.
Joel Edwards.
Wow.
Yes, I love that video.
Astounding.
Yes,
Dr.
yes.
KJ.
Every scene in it means something.
Yeah.
It means something. He did an awesome job, and Jermaine Edwards also did a fantastic job in helping me to put that song together.
You know, it's interesting you said that. I didn't know that before you just said it now.
Yeah.
But when I said that, I thank God for the few of you who are still doing it.
Yeah.
His name was
in your mind.
second to come. So I was going to think about Dr. KJ. I was thinking about Edwards.
Corson Brown, you know, they put great minds. These great minds came together and put this thing together and make it what it is. And you know, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to God.
Hey, where's the next one?
Dr. KJ has.
Them say every good song deserve another.
I have some projects that we're working on. You know, we're not saying much right now, you know, but we just know that we're coming big. We're coming huge. We've got a lot of offers.
You don't
and
usually
stuff.
say much when you're coming with something. When you get quiet, we know it's time, you know. I see you get quiet there, I think something coming, you know.
Listen, I have not been on social media for a while. I took some time from social media, and even though it's not even trim or anything, we didn't plan this. This is just impromptu. You know, we're just testing out the system. True. Yeah, just testing out, and we just decided to just come and have a little chat.
But something bigger.
But something big is coming.
Okay, all right, so I admit it.
Yes, something big is coming, and you know, it's not something that I'm going to be selfish with. I am going to be working in as many as I can and getting them to travel and to, you know, just bring the gospel to the world, you know. But it is coming. And look out again. Embrace the Promise is going to be super big. So look out for details as it relates to Embrace the Promise. Listen, I'm getting so excited. There are some people who are working with me, and they are way more excited than I am because of what will be coming. They are working behind the scene. I told everybody, do it quietly. Do it quietly, because when we drop, you ever see one bomb drop? That's how we're dropping it. It's gonna be, and suddenly, boom. All right. So we are working hard behind the scenes.
Yep.
You know, and I must say, Mr. Simpson, you know, I must say a big shout out to, you know, all those people who, when they were not seeing me on social media, they were wondering if something was wrong with me. A number of persons reached out. To me in my inbox, you know, WhatsApp.
Okay, we get some challenges, you know. You had some challenges on Facebook, you know. People used to win things.
Yes. Well, we're coming back bigger, and we're going to be touching lives, not just.
How can you come back bigger? I don't understand.
Yeah, man, we're coming back bigger.
And isn't that impossible?
No, it's not, because
you had Ron Kenoly last time.
I can tell you some of the names of the persons who we are already confirming about. We're not going to do that yet because I know my PR will not be happy with me.
I understand
for doing that.
How can one get bigger than?
Yeah, we have bigger than Ron Kenoly that will be coming. So just let's leave it there. We have bigger than Ron Kenoly that will be there. It's going to be
They have to go find one different word for call it, and I'm big then. Because what that guy, what's the name of that guy? The other big gospel artist that they had on the show.
You mean Jonathan?
Jonathan. How you must get bigger than Jonathan and Ron Kinole at the same concert?
Oh yeah, we're going bigger than that. We're going way bigger than that. Absolutely bigger than that.
Wow.
Yes.
People, you must be looking forward to this. Because Ron Kinole spent 40 years in gospel and he was never irrelevant. He was some of the biggest songs.
You know, I was talking to Ron Kinole last week. Every now and then we have a little chit chat conversation, and
you're not friend, man. We're
friends.
get president awards same time.
Yeah, we're friends. Yeah, we're friends.
Look at this. Look at this. Somebody that I know from Jamaica get the president of the United States award at the same function with Ron Kinole.
Yeah, and there were others there. You had.
And he's sitting beside me right now.
Yeah, there were a lot more people there. You know, leaders.
And you play on these things like this all the time. I can't even get that. You play on these things all the time. Big somebody, sir.
Yeah, it's big to you, but for me, I'm just taking it very humble, and you know, just understand that anything that comes my way, I just need to give it back to God, you know, because listen, I was
when you grew up, you couldn't even imagine so you would get the president award, president of the United States of America.
I never imagined that.
And that you would share the same table.
Yeah, with
a childhood hero of yours.
Yeah, I grew up listening. As a matter of fact, in my rallies when I was a teenager growing up, it's like every year we used to sing Ron Kinole for youth choir, adult choir, children choir.
Hijack you for a program like this and talk about it because you now bring it up. Look, a massive thing this and it must be spoken about. I was in your living room just now, just looking at the award again, and my head go big because I said, this is the president.
Yeah, and
any little thing. What it is also saying is that you're giving back.
You know, I recently got another award that I have not even spoken about.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
No, but not tonight.
Because you put the people need to know. It's about 4,000 families.
Yeah, we feed every week. Yeah, yes. It's a lot. Well, you're here. You're here today. For example, today is one of my paydays. Of course, you know, not everybody's paid yet. They'll be paid tomorrow because you know needed some more check leaves and stuff. You know, they arrived. Thank God they came tonight, so that is good. Came in late. But when you look at how many people depend on you for their survival, it warms my heart that God could have chose me to be that person, to bring ease to family, to bring some amount of comfort to families, and to help families be able to put food on their table, to feed their children, to send their children to school. Children are graduating, youngsters are graduating with honors as a result of their parents being able to come and work and earn, and we contribute to their livelihood and their education. We have lawyers. One's your daughter, who just graduated with law, degree in law.
Yeah. So we're done because you see, it is easy for persons to just listen, and it goes through one ear and comes to the other because they don't have a personal experience or connection. Well, me can testify because I am a teacher in the Jamaican school space. I am a principal, and I have had times when people help my school.
Yeah.
But on almost all of the occasions, I had to write them a letter, petitioning and begging. On one occasion, I was called by this man to say, I want to help one or two of the children. I was like, really? I mean, seriously? By the next week, the money was there, and it was a humble little guy.
Yeah.
On that first occasion.
Yes.
Humble little guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. I can tell you, easily one of the best human beings I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
And when you can say that a student of yours is one of the best persons you've met, then you know what kind of individual he was.
Yeah.
And he came to me crying the week before you called. Which is why, if I doubted that you heard from God, I would have stopped at that. He came to me crying to say, he had 13 subjects, by the way.
Yeah.
One of those young men who came to the school, and we promoted him almost immediately because there was no point of keeping him in grade 7.
Yeah.
And then we promoted him to grade 10 from grade 8. So he spent 3 years.
Yeah, a 5-year program.
Doing C-Sec and ended up with 13 subjects.
Yeah.
Went to sixth form.
Brilliant.
Went to sixth form and got about 5 capes. And now was about to go to the community to go and sit. Because
his parents couldn't afford
there
to
was
send
no
him to
job and
university.
he couldn't go to university. So he came to me crying the week before, and I told him not to cry. So I started to take pictures with me and him putting out on Facebook. I think that is one of the things that you saw.
Yeah.
And the very next week I took him to university.
Yeah.
You know, Dr. KJ.
And you know what? And that young man has made us so proud. And there's another young lady too, and she has made us proud.
So the other young lady now, she started law school and started to do the work and travel program to the US as well. Came to me again to say, she called me Dad. Came to me again to say, Dad, I'm going to have to take up sabbatical this year until next year. And I asked her, quite frankly, she was crazy because in education, you know that when you pause, you maybe don't.
You don't go back. You just don't go back sometimes.
And again, people, I kid you not, I didn't ask. And it's not like KJ and I share a relationship where we always saying, say something here, say something there. You know what I mean? It's not that kind of thing. And you know, you also try not to burden the prophet.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But I don't know. But the gentleman called me again to say, there's somebody that I want to help. You know what I mean? And she was able to continue. I was blessed. I wish if you would have seen her. That's why I pressed for you to see her.
Yeah, I know you wanted me to meet her. I know.
Because she brought for you a laminated version of her degree. So you didn't know.
No.
You would have run into that surprise, and I wanted you to have that.
I didn't know.
And she brought one to me, and she said, Dad, I have one for Dr. KJ. So, you know, and then even though, you know, I'm on leave from work, and, you know, I hop around. And you know, you don't want to put the good man in any problem with the United States, but you know, I've had a little thing to do here and there to ease the stress and strain in whichever way.
But you know what, Mr. Simpson? I mean, we don't toot our own horns, and we have no need to, you know, and. Not everybody has good things to say about, you know, us, me in particular.
Me too, sir. Someone does not.
Yeah, that's what I said. You know, not everybody does. But you see, those who will speak in a negative way about us, I guarantee you they don't know us.
Well, let me pause.
They don't know us.
Let me just pause and say something to that. I think it's important, and there are very few people who you can get to say this to. Because the journey has been long. Your helpfulness is nothing recent. And I hope I don't embarrass you by saying this, but my first experience with your helpfulness, you had absolutely nothing. I mean, like nothing at all. I mean, like when I looked down on your feet, I could see your toes coming to your shoes. And every time I saw your black pants, it looked familiar. You know, but you know, so I was at a school. I think you're a trainee
In guidance counselor.
teacher at the time, and you're a
trainee.
pastor
Yeah.
as well. And you were one of the main events planner in that parish.
Yeah.
And I was putting on a concert for my school and thought that I was a cat's pajama. You know, I had a whole list of artists on the show and started to promote and you know, wasn't that bad based on what you said to me, but the structure of the show was horrible.
Yeah.
And you know, in your own way, you found me through a colleague of mine. Your colleague said, I have a friend who wants to talk to you. I said, well, of course. I mean, let him come. And she said, I didn't care MC. Good, you said, make him come then. And then, you know, you took that program from me and you showed me that.
Yeah.
You know, I had way too many artists on
Yeah.
the show.
You did. You had too many artists on
And
that
you
show.
told me that you would be the MC for the show for
Yeah.
me.
I remember even telling you I would speak to some of these artists to drop them.
You didn't tell me, you did it.
Yeah, I went and spoke to
I
them.
can't call
personally.
name because it's not no secret
Yeah.
either. You call Glenn Graham and you make him know the time of day. You call Joel Fleming and you can to move her feel way down. So I mean, like seriously. But then you also, because you were, it's not just now you're doing all the things still, because you were many hats. You were hosting a program on Vibes FM.
Vibes FM, yes. I was a radio host, yes.
What is your name? Man Talk or Action Talk?
Action Talk.
Action Talk.
Action Talk.
And you gave that event so much airtime
Yeah.
that I wondered if you were crazy. And then you brought me to the management of Vibes FM and introduced me to. I'm just looking at this man and saying, so how this man just do so much things to small women know? I mean, is this for real?
And you know something, Mr. Simpson, there are persons who they've been recipient of my help over the years. And when you can no longer help them, they will want you to feel that, oh, he was helping because he was expecting this or that, or no. It's never so.
But KJ, you know what
I help from the deepest part of my heart. If I'm going to help you, I am going to help you. I don't need anything in return for your help or for me helping you. You know, I just do it because
I can testify.
The Lord just impressed it on me.
I can testify because I remember that the first concert you did for me was a massive success.
Yes, I remember. I have pictures. I still have pictures of it.
Yeah. Man in school was car.
Yes.
Upstairs, the balcony area, rampa.
It was
Ticket solo.
It was not Manning's. That one we had.
Oh, it was Sean Lavery.
Yes.
So you remember?
Yes, I remember.
So if even test my chest, you because so there was George Banton, Edwin Myers, DJ Nicholas, Judith Gill,
yes,
Edwin Myers.
It was a lot of them. It was a whole lot.
But the concert was
awesome. It was awesome. So
alright. So we
had people outside couldn't come in.
Couldn't come in.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing was sold out.
Yeah.
And the food sold after.
Yeah.
So it was a massive success as far as I'm concerned, especially for our first for a high top promotion. Now, for that concert, we gave some money to the infirmary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we paid every single artist
what they charge.
The other 50%, because we paid them before, and 50% before they went onto the stage. So it was obvious that we made some money.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw KJ helping before the event, I suspected that he was a madman to just be giving up himself so effortlessly. It was after the concert. Now I confirmed that he was certified mad when I handed him some money and he said, "No, I did it for free." I said, "Well, this is a stone madman because I said to you, You look down on him feet and you see clothes. You look on him black points and it look familiar. So, and I want you.
I just say black pants, I work in the concert, you know, don't be talking, you know. I only had one black pants, sir.
I have to buy some money because obviously the show never flop. And him said no. So I never know what to think of him. You know, I just appreciated him. I started going to church, listening to his sermon.
Yeah.
Understood,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
what.
And it's just in me because, you know, and to be honest with you, Mr. Simpson, I wrote of these things in one of my books, Embrace the Promise, how being nice sometimes, you know, people can take advantage of you, and then if you're not careful, you want to regret what you have been doing.
Yeah.
And I ask God to help me not to regret helping anybody at all, because that's where my blessing is. And even if I don't experience that blessing here, I know my children will reap.
Yeah.
Because the Bible says it and the Bible can't lie. God don't tell lie.
Yeah.
Right? And since, you know, sometimes things happen and you think about it, you know, as a human being, and you have feelings, flesh and blood and emotions. And I said to my wife, do you think I am crazy to be wanting to help people? All I do is I want to see people happy. I want to see people succeed in life. And I would even put my own happiness under so their happiness can be achieved. But then sometimes it backfires. You know, and I thought about it and I said, God, but how can you want, you know, to help, and then these things just backfire on you? And he says, because that's what I called you to. You know, that's what I called you to.
You're calling.
So you can't escape it.
Yeah.
And so I am learning not to be surprised.
Difficult as it is.
Yeah, as it is.
Difficult.
Sometimes you will be disappointed because, you know, you don't expect it from certain people.
Yeah.
You know, that you thought, you know, you could bet on.
Yeah.
But then it happened.
You just try to take the surprise element.
Right. You know, but then God keeps reminding me, you don't complain.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, don't complain. You don't complain.
Yeah.
Right? Because the moment you start complaining, you're going to be in trouble with me. Because I gave you a specific command, and you know what it entails.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of things happen, and afterwards I can take it with a smile. I will just smile at certain things, because while it is playing out, the Lord keeps ringing in my head the purpose for it. And so I smile because I want to go him, you know.
Well, let me tell you, people listening now, I want you to hear me now, because again, he mentioned wife. I remember some, oh God, we were having concerts, man, on the veranda.
But, yeah, that was a rehearsal ground. But you know, it's a long time people are coming here.
Hey,
Come to think of it.
Nikki, I don't want normal, I want a regular woman.
You remember Nicky used to take 1 and 2 tin mackerel and feed them altitude?
Me say, before we get to the feeling, because I guess that's her calling to cook. That woman can cook. By the way, what's this now? The noise on your veranda from 5 o'clock until midnight with a young baby. Man!
Oh Lord, yeah, we
sometimes I wash her foot and drink the water.
Why, you know, a lot of people tell me that you need to do that because she's different. I'm telling you, she's called to what she's.
I'm married to one bull man, you know.
Yeah, man.
But I tell me never seen nothing like this.
No, and you see a lot of people wouldn't know.
And not even my wife would be upset with me saying
A lot of people don't know some of the things that she has to put up with because of me. You know, and I mean, she understands me, and that is a beautiful thing. She understands me, and she doesn't make anything I do for the cause and the sake of the gospel bothers her. And even my kids understand, I'm going to be having a full house because we're going into Israel, and everybody who is going into Israel will be connected from my house. And then we're going to be heading out into New York. And then from New York, we're heading into Dubai. From Dubai, we're heading into Jerusalem. And I said to my kids, can Daddy inconvenience you guys for a few days? And right away, because they know me, they said, Dad, don't worry about it. You can have my room. Dad, don't worry about it. My room is available. I'm like...
Testify. Testify. God, the hotel was overbooked. And I don't start my preparations to go elsewhere. And then I only got a call to say, no, this has been sorted out. When we go in the room now, Mrs. Helena guest room. Because Mrs. Son picture big.
That's actually my son's room.
So I said,
and he voluntarily gave up his room.
What do you want people bother?
He voluntarily gave up his room because when he came in from school,
so good.
He said because he knew that our other guest was coming, and he said, Dad, where's Uncle gonna sleep? Which is you. He said, where's Uncle gonna sleep? I said, well, that's what Mom and I are trying to figure out. And he said, oh, don't worry about it. You can have my room.
But children this age supposed to be selfish.
And he said, I can stay with you guys if you want me to, because my dad is here and all the rooms are occupied because I have guests and stuff here. And so he said, Dad, I can stay with you guys. You know what he did? He has I don't know what you call that bed, that little big ball bed, beanie bed or whatever they call it. Yes. Beanie bed. He has one.
Okay.
And that is what I saw him pull.
Wow.
In my room, and put it right in front of the television and just lay down there and went to bed.
Wow. I got up this morning for school.
Went to school. I didn't even know when he left for school because I was sleeping. But it's
testimony, man.
It goes to show you that when you're called to certain things, but at the same time you want to be mindful and to be careful of some people that you allow in your space. It is very important. It is very important because sometimes they will come into your space, but then when they leave, it's hell and powder house.
Yeah.
And then you have more work to do, and you have to call on the prayer warriors to help you, to pray out them, because not everybody is really genuine. But again, the Lord keeps saying, don't complain. Maybe that is for you to pray more. So you never know. That is to get you to pray more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So in everything, I just still got to give God thanks. Though I got to be careful. But then the question arises, as my wife asked one day, do you even know what it means to be careful?
That is to be full of care.
But the bottom line is, we as gospel ministers, we've got to know how to balance between money and really giving people what God has invested in us to give to them. Because I've seen gospel artists as an MC, because I was an MC, and I used to MC a lot of shows. And I would be backstage sometime and hear gospel artists cussing a lot of bad words and behaving badly for money before they go on the stage. And as they hold that mic, they're speaking in tongues. And you just look and say, oh, what a mockery. What a mockery. They're just there behaving badly and cursing and what they're going to do to the promoter. And you're there listening and hearing them. They have no care. They have no remorse. And as soon as they hold the mic, they are in tongues.
It's a show.
It is wrong. It's a show. It's a show. When are we going to get back to really in the spirit and seeking the face of God before we hold that mic? So when we hold that mic, people can be blessed. People can get real food and not just junk. Because what we are giving people nowadays, a lot of people are junk. we go on itself and we gratify self, and in the midst of it, God is left on the back burner saying, "Where's my glory?"
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we have to be careful, and then we got to treat the artists fairly.
True.
At the end of the day,
True.
By rewarding them their
because it's not
fair
just the
share.
artist cursing. No. Some of us want to call them to come and perform for free, like they don't have a family to feed to.
Precisely. Yeah. So we got to treat them fairly.
And the same people, when they keep secular music, they know that they can't try.
No, they pay it. They pay it. When they have the secular show, they pay it. Yeah, they pay whatever it takes. They pay it. You know, but yeah, and I go back to the point, we got to find a middle ground.
Yes.
We got to find a middle ground, but know that anything we do, let us do it to the glory of God.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Simpson, as you said, we stay here and talk all night, and I see the people enjoying it. But we're going to leave you now. I am going to try to play a song. As you know, we're trying to test out the system. So the mic works, thank God. Now let me see if the music works. If the music works, if you can hear it, just comment and let me know that you're hearing. All right? But until Tuesday, what good?
In the meantime,
I see the signs of heaven. My soul's on never near me. Around me. But Jesus was out me. Save my soul from sin. From sin, shield my soul, shield my soul, shield my soul. From sin, oh Jesus, I have promised to serve thee to the end. Be thou forever near me, my master and my friend. I shall not fear the battle. If thou wert on my side, I walk through the pathway. If thou would be my guide, from sin, oh, shield my soul. Shield my soul.
Mr. Manalo,
Shield my soul.
recent one.
This, I want to song.
Yeah, we know your song, but
No man, it's on the album. But I don't play it a lot. But I want my favorite song.
no problem, so
Yeah, man, I want my favorite song, man. Yeah. I'm gonna do a music video for it. Yeah, everybody said them I hear it. My master, you are my friend. Shield my soul, shield my soul, yeah. Yes, baby. Shield my soul. Hold on, go again. Huh? Are you hearing me now? Thank you. Indeed, Chima Soul, the song of Dr. KJ, shield my soul. You know, it is it is a nice thing when you can be on and your family is listening. That's what you want in that chat there, you know.
They're listening?
Mr. Simpson, because while the song was playing, my lovely son used to call me to say, Dad, I can hear everything you're saying, your mic is on.
You mean we didn't turn off the mic?
No.
Wow.
So the family was listening actually. So big up to you guys. Thank you so much. Sophia Miller Parks, Jabez, my brother Derek McFarlane.
Thank you for your room.
Everybody who's been listening, thank you so much. Thank you for staying with us. We were just doing a little chit-chatting and testing the system out. Heard you hearing us loud and clear. So, thank you. All right, please join me next week. And we are going to be making some announcements next week as well. So, you do want to stick around for that, all right?
Blessings.
So, until we meet again, let me give you another song that I hardly play inside.
God bless no man can curse. Thank you for
What? But all right, take care.
Dr. KJ, no in no hurts. Me bless and them we know. Me bless and them we know.
What you got?
If God be good, then just the I do for you. Say, me bless and them we know. Me bless and them we know. If God be good, then just the
Come on, you want to say, Dr. KJ, I know.
Me a talk about blessings. In Jesus' name. In a talk about no Jesus. Me a talk about healing. In Jesus' name. Listen, I'm not about something. This a Bible something. Preaching gospel and a Bible something. Living for God is a righteous something. On the stage and a Bible something. When you dance, we are the lighter. In a pass and by a overnight, tell me what one of them say God and me fighter. Me bless and them we know. Me bless and them we know. If God feel good, me taste the wine. And my heart will look at you. Say, me bless and them we know. Me bless and them we know. Taste the wine. And my heart will look at you. This is a part of the essence of the praise God up, me a go louder. Got a peace in my spirit and a joy in my soul. Make me surrender to Jesus and say take control. When you think about Calvary, how we pay that toll. I'm not ashamed of the gospel, so we preach it full. Me bless and them we know. Me bless and them we know. If God is good, then just the way I want to do for you. Say, me bless and them we know. Me bless and them we know. If God is good, then just the way I want to do for you. Me not talk about money. Me not talk about freedom. Me talk about blessings. In Jesus' name. Me not talk about income. No influence. Me talk about healing. In Jesus' name. This a Bible song. Preaching gospel and a Bible song. That is where the light. Oh Father, help me when I cry. Meditation from my heart and the words of my mouth. You may not go out. Oh, I to do the with urgency. So stone this is emergency. Preach the gospel, set the whole world free. Teach them to serve God with fervency. They come to teach for more than one thing. Some of them put in no conscience. I shoot a church now, no reverence. Blood up and with milk, none of them nonsense. Push fire, push fire, push. Fast fire, fast fire, pray. Push fire, push fire. Fast fire, fast fire. Push fire, push fire, push. Fast fire, pray. Push fire, push fire, push. Tell every obstacle out of the way. Much is given, so much is required. Until go higher. In the belly get a fire. We preach the word of the Messiah. There's no tomorrow, do it today. All of us that soldier I pray. Work to do me can delay. Try me best for my next day. Push fire, push. Fast fire, pray. Push fire, push. And every obstacle out to me. Push fire, push. Fast fire, fast. Push fire, push. Every obstacle out of me. I need to work, my life is not my own. Get a price, I gotta things my own. Give me the sun, making the spirit and show. What my purpose on my body. He said I'm here to make a difference. Give him the truth to leave the pretense. No fear to tell us you're not reaping. Son and Holy Ghost within your tree from soul. Push them up, push. Bring them up, fast them up, pray.